The charger cable in the car wasn't mine. That's what did it. Not the late nights, not the sudden showers before bed, not even the way Ashley had stopped touching me unless I touched her first. It was that stupid cable, braided red nylon, frayed at the tip, tucked half beneath the passenger seat like a forgotten thread in a tailor's shop. I stared at it for a long time without picking it up. A different phone model. Not hers. Not mine. I sat there with the engine off and a grocery bag in my lap, listening to the ticking sound of a cooling engine, wondering how long it had been there. Wondering how many other things had been right in front of me. She had let me borrow her car because mine was in the shop. That's all. I hadn't gone digging. I didn't need to. The lie was sitting there, right in front of me, coiled like a wire and buzzing louder than it should have. At dinner that night, she told me she was tired. Said she might crash early. She was in her robe, hair wet from a bath I didn't hear running. I watched her chew her food too slowly, like she was performing for an invisible camera, keeping up appearances. She didn't ask about my day. Didn't ask why I looked pale. Just said, passed the salt and smiled with her teeth, not her eyes. After she fell asleep, I walked out to the driveway and checked the car again. No other charger in the glove box. I opened the trunk. Empty except for a black hoodie I didn't recognize, curled in the corner like something ashamed. I picked it up. It smelled like a stranger. That was 3 days ago. I hadn't said a word. Not because I didn't know what to say, because I knew exactly what I'd say and I wasn't ready for what would come next. Last night, she told me she had a work event. Late shift. Nurses get those sometimes. She kissed my cheek like I was her uncle and left in heels I hadn't seen in 6 months. At 11:04 p.m. I drove to the address I pulled from her phone backup weeks ago when I first suspected but wasn't sure. I'd never been to the street before, but I knew the house. Dark red siding. A wind chime by the porch. One car in the drive, hers. I parked a block away. I waited. At 2:13 a.m. the porch light flicked on. The door opened. She stepped out barefoot, hair messy, laughing at something behind her. Then he followed. Tall, shaved head. A lazy sort of confidence in his walk. He kissed her neck. Not her lips. Like he owned her. She didn't push him away. Didn't even look around. Just smiled, flicked her hair, and said something I couldn't hear. That's when it happened. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I just watched her, standing under a yellow porch light, with another man's scent on her, glowing like it was the happiest she'd been in years. And in that moment, one thought hit me so hard it burned behind my eyes. She thought it would be a night of fun. Instead, it turned into a night of payback as I watched her try to slip past my gaze with his scent still on her. The fuse was lit. And tomorrow, I'd let it burn. I didn't sleep. Just sat in the kitchen, lights off, phone on the table in front of me like it was going to tell me what to do. I stared at it until dawn. Every few minutes, I replayed what I'd seen on that porch, his hands on her, her smile, the way she leaned into him like she forgot who she was married to. At 6:47 a.m., the garage door opened. She walked in humming. Humming. Ashley never hummed in the morning. She used to curse the sun like it owed her money. But today, she was humming some pop song, hair still damp, wearing his hoodie. The one from her trunk. I recognized it immediately. She didn't expect to see me at the kitchen table. She stopped mid-step, eyes flicking from my face to the phone on the table, then back. The air between us twisted. "You're up early," she said casually, but her voice wavered. "Did you have fun?" I asked. Her face didn't move, but something in her eyes ticked. Like a misfire. "What?" I stood slowly. Calm. Like ice spreading across a lake. "You were at his house, Ashley. I saw you." She blinked once. Twice. Then something in her expression shifted just slightly. She tilted her head and gave me this look like I was the inconvenience in her story. "You followed me?" That's what she chose to say. Not "I'm sorry." Not "it's not what you think." Not even a "who?" Just that. "You followed me?" I nodded. I wanted to know if I was crazy. And, she snapped. "Congratulations, you're not." Silence. Her mouth twisted into something cruel. Like a mask slipping. "What now, Nick? You gonna sob? Throw a plate? Punch a wall like a bad Netflix husband?" I stared at her. This woman who used to cry when we watched dog videos. Who once begged me to pull over on the highway to save a stray. Now she stood here like I was a bug she hadn't stepped on yet. "How long?" I asked, voice hoarse. She shrugged. "Few months. Maybe more." "Who is he?" She smirked. "No one you know." "And before you ask, no, I don't love him. I barely like him, honestly." That hit harder than anything. The casual way she said it. Like my entire world was something she'd scribbled in a notebook and could just erase. "Why?" I whispered. She actually laughed. Not loud. Just a soft, broken sound. Because I could. She walked past me, opened the fridge, pulled out a juice, took a sip. Then she looked back over her shoulder and said it really said it. You stopped being interesting, Nick. You became safe. Predictable. You think I wanted to live like this forever? You think love means never getting bored? There are moments that crack you in ways you don't hear at first. This was mine. She wasn't crying. I was. I turned around. Walked to the front door. Where are you going? She asked, sipping juice like this was Sunday morning cartoons. I need to get out before I do something I regret. She scoffed. Oh, don't be dramatic. I stopped at the door. You wore his hoodie into my house. Yeah, she said. It's comfortable. I left. The door didn't slam. It clicked shut, soft and final. I spent the morning driving nowhere. No music. Just the sound of tires grinding over asphalt and my own thoughts ripping through me. Every stoplight felt like an accusation. Every street corner looked like somewhere I'd driven her to once, back when we were still real. By noon, I ended up at my brother's place. Mark opened the door in boxers and a hoodie, blinking like he'd forgotten what daylight looked like. Jesus, man, you look like hell. Can I crash here? That's all I said. He didn't ask questions. Just stepped aside. I told him everything eventually. Sat on his old leather couch and let it pour out, his hoodie, her laugh, the cologne, the porch. All of it. I didn't hold back. And Mark, bless him, didn't interrupt. Just nodded, jaw clenched tighter with every word. When I finally finished, he leaned forward, elbows on knees. So, what are you gonna do? I didn't know. My whole identity had been wrapped in Ashley for so long. Our inside jokes. Our Spotify playlists. Our dumb little rituals like making pancakes every Sunday and pretending they weren't always slightly burned. I didn't know who I was without her. But I knew I wasn't a man who could stay after that. I stared at the floor. I want to burn it all down. He nodded slowly. Then do it right. What do you mean? Mark's always been the strategist. Cold when he needs to be. You don't scream. You don't beg. You don't even accuse. You move in silence. You pull the rug out from under her so fast she doesn't even see it coming. I didn't say anything. That night, I went back home. I needed one more look. Ashley was in the kitchen, barefoot, phone to her ear. Laughing. Not the fake kind she gave me lately. Real laughter, the kind that came from her gut. She twirled the cord of her robe around her finger and giggled into the speaker. Then she saw me. And her face changed. Fast. The smile vanished. Her spine straightened. Let me call you back, she said quickly, hanging up mid-sentence. You're back? She asked, as if nothing had happened. Just grabbing some things. I walked past her. She followed, leaning in the doorway of our bedroom like it was hers alone. You know, she said coolly, you're kind of proving my point. You leave. You sulk. You hide. You don't fight for anything. I zipped up my duffel bag. Looked at her. There's nothing to fight for. She rolled her eyes. Drama. That's what this is. No, I said. Drama would be me texting him from your phone. Or emailing screenshots to your job. Or telling your parents. This. I picked up the bag. This is mercy. I walked out without another word. And she let me. Didn't call after me. Didn't cry. Didn't even flinch. It was like she was waiting for me to leave all along. 3 days. That's how long it took for her to text. No, I miss you. No, let's talk. Not even a fake apology. Just, when are you coming to get the rest of your stuff? I need the closet space. That was it. The woman I gave 6 years of my life to, trips, anniversaries, holidays with my family, nights spent massaging her back after long shifts, had reduced our breakup to a matter of closet space. I didn't reply. Didn't even let the read receipt show. Instead, I started documenting everything. Quietly. Bills, shared accounts, the lease in both our names. I made appointments, bank, lawyer, storage. I didn't want a war, but I wasn't going to walk away empty either. I'd spent too much time shrinking myself so she could feel bigger. By Friday, I had a plan. I went back to the house when I knew she'd be at work. She never locked the place, always said, what's the point? Nobody steals from people who look broke. Typical Ashley logic, spend $5,000 on shoes but think a deadbolt was too much. I packed what mattered. Documents, my books, the watch my dad gave me, the vinyl collection she used to mock but always played when she was home alone. I left the stupid toaster she insisted on getting because it matched the backsplash. Left the rugs. Left the wedding album. But I took one photo. Just one. The Polaroid from our honeymoon, her in sunglasses, hair whipped by the wind, holding a pineapple drink like it was treasure. I didn't take it because I missed her. I took it to remind myself how good people can look when they're still lying. As I left, I noticed something that stopped me cold. A second wine glass in the sink. Half full. Lipstick smudge that didn't match hers. He was there. Again. Recently. I stood there for a moment, gripping the doorframe, heart pounding. And then the idea hit me. Not revenge. Not sabotage. Exposure. I went into her office where she worked from home twice a week. She'd always told me never to touch her work laptop. HIPAA rules, nursing privacy, whatever. But it wasn't locked. She was logged into everything: email, calendar, Slack, hospital intranet. I didn't care about most of it except one thing. Her messages. There he was. Dr. Sean Russell. Messages going back months. Some short. Some graphic. Some mundane but cutting in their own way. Things like, still pretending for the husband? Your place or mine after the next girls' night? Wear that thing I like. I didn't screenshot any of it. Didn't forward it. Didn't need to. I just read it all. Let it settle into me. Every single thing she chose to do. Every lie. Every sneer disguised as charm. Every night she came home to me with his breath still on her skin. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I simply stood, staring at that screen, and whispered the only words that mattered anymore. You're not broken, Nick. You were betrayed. I left the house for the last time. And this time I locked the door behind me. I stayed with Mark for a few more nights. He gave me space like a good brother does. No questions unless I offered. No pep talks. Just beers on the table and silence between us that felt like understanding. But even silence has weight. By the fifth night, I couldn't take it anymore. The air felt stale. My phone kept lighting up with messages from people who didn't know yet, and one from Ashley that read, "You left your gym shoes. And some of your cologne. Want me to toss them?" Toss them. Like that's all it was. Just some shoes. Some scent. As if the man who built a life with her had been reduced to a pile of junk at the back of the closet. I left the text unanswered. But something in me snapped again, this time cleaner. Sharper. I needed closure. Not her version. Not the kind wrapped in gaslighting and empty smirks. Mine. So I called her. 1 ring. 2. She picked up on the third with a smug, well, I want to talk, I said, keeping my voice calm. She paused. Now you want to talk? After disappearing like a child? I'll be there in an hour. No, but I'd already hung up. She opened the door in leggings and a tank top like nothing had happened. Hair pulled back, a fresh layer of foundation just slightly off her neck tone. Didn't expect you to actually show, she said, crossing her arms. I'm not here for you, I said. I'm here for the truth. She leaned against the wall like she was bored. You already got it, didn't you? I want to hear it from you. She laughed. Why? So you can cry again? Yell? Beg me to tell you it meant nothing. I stayed quiet. Something about that made her flinch. Ashley sighed. Fine. You want honesty? Here. She walked to the couch, dropped into it like she owned every inch of the room. Like I hadn't paid for half of it. Sean was easy. He didn't ask questions. He didn't hover. He didn't need me to be anything. You mean he didn't know you, I said. Exactly, she snapped. And that was the point. With you, it was always about being US. Grocery lists, laundry, checking in, date nights with rules. I couldn't breathe. So you cheated. She tilted her head. Don't make it sound so dirty. I just expanded my options. I stared at her. You really think this is about options? Ashley stood slowly. Walked toward me, eyes locked on mine. I think this is about you finally seeing who I am. No, I said quietly. It's about you finally showing it. She stopped. We stood inches apart. Then she smiled. Cold. Vicious. I never loved you the way you loved me, Nick. You were the safe bet. The sure thing. And when I got bored, I left. Just didn't tell you. Silence. Breath. Rage. But then peace. Because she'd finally said it. The truth. I stepped back, pulled a folded envelope from my jacket and placed it on the kitchen counter. What's that? She asked. Proof that I'm not the same man you married, I said. Divorce papers. My lawyer already has your copies. Her smile faltered. For the first time she looked small. I turned, walked to the door, and paused. One more thing, I said, not looking back. You'll spend the rest of your life trying to find someone who'll love you the way I did. And then I left. I didn't cry when I walked out that final time. That was the part that surprised me. I thought I'd break down in the car. Punch the steering wheel. Drive aimlessly and let it hit me like a delayed explosion. But no. I just drove. Calm. Cold. Like something had finally shut off and I wasn't sure if I ever wanted it turned back on. The papers were filed. My name was off the lease within 48 hours. I closed the joint credit card, rerouted my direct deposit, changed every password I could remember. It was surgical. Clean. Mark watched me do it all in silence. When I was done, he finally said, "You okay?" "No," I replied. "But I'm getting there." We toasted to that with cheap whiskey and silence. The first message came from her mom. Ashley told me what happened. "I'm so sorry, Nick. We love you." I didn't reply. Then came Laura, the friend Ashley claimed to be with the night I caught her. "I had no idea. I thought you two were solid. She told me you were pulling away." "Right?" "I'm sure she did." Then finally Sean. From an unknown number. Just a simple text. "Didn't know you were still in the picture. No hard feelings, man." "No hard feelings?" I didn't respond. But I did forward it to Ashley, no words, just his message. She left it on read. Of course she did. 2 weeks passed. I was sleeping better. Eating again. Relearning what silence sounded like without tension strung behind it. But then I saw her. Randomly. At the grocery store of all places. She was with him. He was holding a basket. She was laughing at something, that same head tilt laugh she used to do when I made dumb puns. She looked carefree. Radiant. Like someone who hadn't burned down a life just to feel something again. I didn't go up to her. I didn't even let her see me. I stood at the end of the cereal aisle and just watched for a second. And here's the thing, there was no rush of rage. No jealousy. No pain. Just pity. She wasn't glowing because she was happy. She was glowing because she was new again. To him. The same way she was with me back when I didn't know any better. It would fade. It always does. Ashley isn't a woman who loves. She's a woman who consumes. Who takes and smiles and takes again until there's nothing left but someone standing in the kitchen wondering what happened to the person they thought they knew. I walked out without buying anything. I didn't need groceries. I just needed to see for myself that leaving was still the right decision. It was. 2 months. That's how long it took for the silence to break, for her to finally realize that I wasn't playing the long game, wasn't bluffing, wasn't waiting in the wings for her to come around. It started small. A like on an old Instagram photo. One from our 3rd anniversary, us standing on a cliff in Big Sur, her windblown and laughing, my arm around her waist. Caption read, "My forever adventure." I didn't delete it. Not out of nostalgia. I wanted it to sit there like a monument to the lie. Then came the email. Subject, "Can we talk? I know you don't want to hear from me. But I'm not okay. I thought I was. I thought I could move on. But it's not what I imagined. I made mistakes. I know that. But I don't think you understand what we were to me. Please, Nick? Just one conversation. No expectations. Just talk." I didn't reply. Not out of pettiness. But because I'd already had the conversation. The night I watched her walk barefoot onto his porch wearing my loyalty like a discarded coat, that was the conversation. The night she stood in our kitchen and said I wasn't interesting anymore, that was the only truth I ever needed from her. But she wasn't done. She called next. I let it ring. Then again. This time she left a voicemail. "Hey. I'm not even sure why I'm calling. Maybe because no one else knows me the way you do. Maybe because I haven't really slept in days. Maybe because I thought I'd feel free and instead I just feel empty. I thought I wanted excitement. But he's not what I thought. You were good, Nick. You were always good." I listened to the whole thing once. Then deleted it. Because here's what she never understood. I wasn't trying to be exciting. I was trying to build peace. A home. Something solid. But she mistook stability for stagnation. Mistook my loyalty for dullness. Mistook her own restlessness for proof that I was lacking. She never wanted to grow roots. Just wings. And the second she got bored, she flew. But the sky she flew into? It was a storm of her own making. I talked to Mark about it later that night. "She's spiraling," I said. He nodded. "You gonna answer?" "No." He cracked a beer. "Good." I leaned back. Looked at the ceiling. Breathed in the quiet. She said Sean's not what she thought. Mark snorted. "No sh*T. I smiled for the first time in a long time. Not a bitter smile. Just clarity. "She wanted fireworks," I said. Now she's choking on the smoke. It was a Thursday when the knock came. I'd just come back from the gym, trying to rebuild myself in all the ways she broke me. Physically, mentally, everything. I was drenched in sweat, earbuds still in, when I opened the door without thinking. And there she was. Ashley. No warning. No text. Just her, standing in a blue coat I recognized from last winter, eyes wide like she hadn't thought I'd actually open the door. "Hi," she said, voice small. I didn't move. She looked different. Not worse. Just realer. Makeup barely on. eyes red. Her posture wasn't the defiant curve of the woman who mocked me in our kitchen 2 months ago. It was something else exposed. Hollow. I shouldn't be here, she said quickly. I know that. I raised an eyebrow, waiting. I needed to see if you hate me. I stared at her, stunned. That was her question? Why? I asked. Because, she breathed, I hate me. She looked down at her shoes. Silence stretched between us, long and tight like a wire. I left a good thing. I left the only real thing I ever had, and I thought I'd feel powerful, she said. Like I was finally choosing myself. But it turns out, I didn't choose anything. I just ran. And Sean. She laughed bitterly. He ghosted me. I didn't say a word. 2 weeks ago, she went on. Said I was getting too heavy. And he's right. I am. Because everything I pretended didn't matter does. Still, I said nothing. Her voice cracked. You were the safest place I ever knew. I nodded. And you burned it down. She looked up, eyes glassy. I didn't expect it to hurt this much. I did, I replied. We stood there for a moment, the cold air from the hall curling into the doorway like a silent witness. And then she reached out, hand trembling, and tried to touch my arm. I stepped back. Her face folded. You're not him anymore, she said softly. No, I told her. I'm not. You made sure of that. Her mouth opened like she wanted to argue, but then she nodded. I just wanted you to know I regret it. All of it. I took a breath. Not a shaky one. Not a bitter one. Just calm. Then live with it. And I closed the door. Behind it, I leaned against the frame. Not crying. Not shaking. Just done. She'd come to get forgiveness. Maybe even a crack in the wall. A sign I might still love her somewhere under all the ash. But all she found was a man who had finally built peace in the ruins. The next morning, she was gone. No new calls. No texts. Not even a cryptic social post designed to catch my attention. Just digital silence and the faint memory of her voice at my doorstep trying to claw her way back into something she herself destroyed. And for the first time since it all happened, I didn't wonder where she was. Because I no longer cared. That day, I went through my closet and pulled the last things that had her fingerprints on them. The sweater she bought me that I never wore because it itched. The mug with a cheesy inside joke that didn't feel funny anymore. The picture frame with the photo I'd long since removed. Boxed them up. Took them to Goodwill. When I dropped the box off, the volunteer smiled and said, "New beginnings?" I nodded. You could say that. Weeks passed. Time began to move differently. Without her shadow hanging over my life, the days stopped feeling like something I had to survive. I got my appetite back. I laughed at dumb things on TV. I remembered how much I liked walking through bookstores even if I didn't buy anything. The version of me that used to feel like a ghost in his own life started showing up again, full color, breathing deep, walking lighter. The best part? Nobody had control over me anymore. No more pretending. No more walking on eggshells. No more questioning whether I was enough for someone who never had enough respect to even try. It wasn't about healing from her anymore. It was about healing me. I started seeing a therapist. Not because I was shattered, but because I didn't want to carry the quiet weight of her betrayal into whatever came next. I wanted to leave it all there in the past. To remember it without reliving it. One session, my therapist asked, "What would you say to her now if you could?" I thought about it. Then I said, "Thank you for showing me exactly who you are. Because it reminded me who I'm not." She wrote something down, smiled, and nodded. Good. Sometimes I think about that night. Her porch. That moment her lips curled around a lie while another man kissed her neck like I never existed. It doesn't hurt anymore. It just feels like a different lifetime. A movie I saw once and never watched again. I lived through the fire. Now I'm standing in the ashes, not mourning what burned, but building something new, brick by honest brick. It's strange what you remember. Not the fights. Not the silence between us. Not even the night I caught her with him. What lingers is something far more ordinary. One night, early in our marriage, we sat on the floor eating takeout straight from the boxes. Music played from her phone. Some indie band she loved. I didn't like the song, but I watched her sing along, mouth full of noodles, eyes closed like it was the soundtrack to her own private universe. And I remember thinking, God, I hope this lasts. It didn't. But I did. That's the part no one tells you. That sometimes the love story falls apart and that's not your fault. You can give everything and it still won't be enough for someone who's hungry for destruction. Ashley wasn't looking for a partner. She was looking for an escape hatch. And when I stopped being her fantasy, she treated me like an anchor. But I wasn't the one dragging us down. She was the one drilling holes in the boat. I moved out of Mark's a few weeks ago. Got a small place of my own. Nothing fancy, 2 bedrooms, lots of light, creaky floors that moan when it rains. But it's mine. Every wall. Every plate. Every quiet morning. And for the first time in years, I wake up at peace. I sleep through the night. I cook without someone rolling their eyes at how I chop onions. I leave clothes on the chair without being told I'm slipping. My home is messy sometimes, but it's honest. No secrets. No late-night lies wearing someone else's cologne. Just me. And the slow, sacred act of becoming whole again. Ashley tried to reach out once more, an email that said, "I'm truly sorry. I hope you're okay." I didn't respond. Forgiveness isn't always a door you walk back through. Sometimes it's a door you close gently, then lock from the inside. So this is where the story ends, not with a scream or a slammed door or one last dramatic goodbye. Just this. I survived her. I outgrew her. And if you're reading this because you're in the thick of it, because your own Ashley is out there spinning tales and making you feel like you were the problem, hear me now. You are not broken. You were just standing in front of someone who didn't deserve you. But you will rise. You will rebuild. And one day you'll sit in the silence of your own space and realize the truth I learned the hard way. Losing them was never the tragedy. Staying would have been.